On this week's episode of everyone's favourite podcast, Don't Date Me, we are going to be discussing whether we would date a Tory. Would you date a Tory?
I would not date a Tory. I don't think I would date a Tory.
Well, let's unpack that.
It depends on the Tory.
Depends how hot they are. What about that new Prime Minister? He's hot.
That is debatable.
Is he hot or is he rich? That's a new podcast feature we can.
He's definitely rich.
No dirty talk, just podcasts. No turn-ons, so turn me on. By that I mean this podcast. Not interested, so don't date me. Review me, just rate me. Like, subscribe, don't date me. Review me, just rate me. Like, subscribe, don't date me. Don't date me. Don't date me. Don't date me. Play the podcast. Don't date me.
Get your keys in the bowl, get the pampas grass at the door, get your knickers down and have a ball. And no, don't date me.
And don't date me.
Don't date me. Don't date me. No way. Don't call me baby. Don't date me. Don't date me. Don't date me. Don't date me. Don't date me.
Hi, my name's Becca and I am from Glasgow. I indeed did date a Tory for 3.5 years and I'm about to tell you about my experience. So, overall, very negative. Chat was awful. His opinions and views were so clouded and he just sounded quite delusional. And this was a main cause of most of our arguments, was his opinions being so out of line and me just not being okay with some of the things he said publicly, in front of my friends, in front of my family. I just found him, I felt like I couldn't really take him anywhere. Or at least I had to warn people beforehand that he would be there and he is a Tory. And I just think that's not very good, especially not in a relationship. I understand everyone has different opinions and certain views and stuff. However, I genuinely had to, from the offset, warn people that these were his political views and he is confident that they are correct. So, yeah, overall experience wasn't great. We actually, fun story, we went out for a family dinner once and he called out my cousin for her political views because they were the complete opposite of his. And he comes from a background that are very sort of right-wing, and they started an argument with my little cousin over her views. They were calling her stupid. Yeah, I just felt like he was extremely brainwashed, and because of this, I genuinely would consider this in another relationship. I would look out for that in another partner. I don't know if I could do it because we couldn't have adult conversations. Date night turned into arguments because he would say something that I just didn't agree with, and it just rubbed me up the wrong way because he was so brainwashed by the lies he believes. He believed his own lies, and honestly, do not recommend.
Don't date me.
You're listening to Don't Date Me, a podcast about dating from Scotland.
Savage, funny, and definitely not safe for work.
Follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss future episodes. I'm Jamie, a 37-year-old, 6'4" bisexual man and closeted Christian, and I am basically wearing chaps right now.
This is very true. And this is my ASL moment.
Tell us, what is your age, sex, location, Richy?
My age, sex, location. 36, cisgendered male, from Glasgow, and I am an OG Spice Boy before it was culturally appropriated by Love Islanders.
So do you love... I'm confused, you love Nando's?
I love...
Spice Girls.
Yeah, Nando's Spice, the Spice Girls. Just call me Scottish Spice.
Scottish Spice.
Scottish Spice.
Okay. And just for clarity, I'm wearing chaps because my jeans have turned into chaps.
Because you had a double chicken burger.
It is that, isn't it? I had a double chicken burger and my crotch grew. That's how it works, right?
Size queen.
Size queen. Well, welcome to the podcast. We've, as we said, we've got Richy here, who's joining us, which is super exciting. Richy, who is a listener, become friend, become podcast co-host.
Boom.
So that's exciting. Is this surreal that you're on the podcast that you listen to sometimes?
I'll let you know when the episode comes out.
And then I'm
I'll
promoting
listen,
it,
yeah.
and I'm tagging you and being all like, share this on your Twitter. Now it's time for everyone's favourite, slightly generic podcast feature, Swipe Left, Swipe Right, where we tell you what we think is hot or not each week. So, Twitter style, swipe left.
Twitter style.
Tinder style.
Tinder style.
Swipe left is get away from me. I don't want to see your face no more. Swipe right is I'm interested. Let's match and then never talk. So my swipe left for this week is just the cost of living, guys.
It's hard out there.
It is hard out there. I went to Aldi. I was quite frugal, and then I was still like, I'm expecting it to be a bit less than this Aldi. You're disappointing me for once.
Yeah.
So yeah. So buy photos of my feet. What's your swipe left?
My swipe left is TERFs.
Coming in hard with the politics.
I'm sick of them. If they're not protesting, they're bringing out games. People are buying them. Yeah, it's not the one.
It's not the one. It is problematic, and I don't like Harry Potter first and foremost.
Same.
It's not my bag, baby. But I feel in terms of like listening to music by certain artists, if they've had allegedly things that they've done or whatever, allegedly, I sometimes can't make peace with listening to it. So the same way when someone hasn't allegedly said stuff, they have actually said that stuff, and then they are the kind of kingpin of that franchise, it's kind of difficult for me to make peace with the fact that I would never want to play that game, basically. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And we're not just talking about the Queen TERF.
No.
All TERFs.
All turfs.
Yeah, why I don't understand why people can't just
Let people be.
Yeah, love your neighbour.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. Okay, well, what's your swipe right then?
My swipe right is the Lord and Saviour herself.
I don't know where that was going for a second. I thought you were going to be like, my Lord and Saviour Jesus.
No, the Lord and Saviour herself, Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yeah.
She made her Scottish debut. And it was, I think you were the only gay not to be there.
I really was. I was swiping through Instagram and I was like, God, I feel like I'm there, but I'm not there. How was it?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I've seen her before and it was just as good.
How many times have you seen her?
This will be my second.
Right, okay.
And we've got really lucky. We always book the balcony booths.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the seating, it's
Yeah.
the sort of bit that hangs over. So I'm not mixing, getting sweaty with people and crammed. I've got loads of space to dance. It's next to the toilet, near the bar.
Yep.
Yeah, and you kind of feel like a wee VIP.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And I got away from it, a look and a wave.
Oh.
Yeah, at the very start. I know people always say that. And I seen it and it happened and I was like, oh, how do I react here? And then friends had said after, like, I seen that you got a wee wave at the start.
Was it
I'm like,
because...
Did you see that too?
Was it because you were screaming so much?
No, I wasn't. I was trying to play it cool. To be fair, I think she would have looked up at anyone at the balcony, but we were the first balcony at the stage.
That counts.
And to be fair, I was probably the only one dancing
Oh,
at this point.
That's fun.
So, yeah.
I love Carly Rae Jepsen. Yeah, I was so close to trying to get tickets for it, but I just can't justify spending any money at the moment, except on music subscriptions, because my swipe right this week is Ray's new album, My 21st Century Blues. Now, this is quite random because she's not like an independent art... Well, she signed to a major record label. It didn't really work out. She's gone her own way. So she's still signed to one of the big ones, but she's doing it in her own way, I think. Anyway. I don't think she's part of I'm
not familiar with her.
But you will be, because one of her songs was at number one recently. And so my first introduction to her was I saw her reaction to her finding out she won a number one. And I didn't know her backstory. So I watched the video. I was like, wow, she's having a really emotional reaction. Like, that's cool. You don't often get to see that firsthand. And then when I read into her backstory, I was like, whoa, she's been through stuff. Like, because she's literally been through the industry, and she's only 25, I think. But so for her to have her album come out is a big deal for her personally, and it's really good. So I highly recommend it. If you like...
Who is she? What kind of music?
So there's a sprinkling of Amy Winehouse in terms of vibe, but not in terms of musicality. There is a definite, like, slight dance, garagey, like, London vibe situation, maybe. Definite hip-hop vibes, and also... it's tricky to pinpoint because she bounces around genres a little bit.
And you can't tell from the artwork of the cover either.
No.
I've seen your post. And I was
Yeah.
like,
It's really
okay, who's this?
interesting. But it's also must have been quite difficult to make the album because it has to, like, please the people who liked her old music, which is very different to this. But I just appreciate someone who lives life and puts it in their art, so I highly recommend it. So you can hear one of Ray's track on our playlist for this season's podcast, which you can find on bio.site/don'tdatemepod, and you can find her album My 21st Century Blues on all music services. So on this episode and every episode this season, we are doing social media polls each week to tie in with the theme for the episode. So this week we've got another question for you.
Would you date someone with different dietary, religious, political, or world views to you? Yes or no? Share your thoughts with us over on Twitter or Instagram. You can find us at Don't Date Me Pod. What about you, Jamie? Would you date a Tory?
Would I date a Tory? I've thought long and hard about it, and it's a hard no. Because I don't know, it's that way where, like, I'm opinionated, right? And I definitely am politically opinionated, but at the same point, I have got used to being mostly agnostic in terms of, like...
Agnostic.
So it's where you're kind of, like, externally... Actually, I should correct that. Externally agnostic. Because see, back in the days when I worked in commercial radio, I kind of got used to publicly not really having an opinion on many things. So I still...
Like being apolitical almost.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm very opinionated. I just don't often, unless I feel there's a big injustice, I don't feel the need to kind of push my agenda on other people because that's not how I do things, really. But at the same point, there's always a line, and I just don't think I could date someone whose viewpoints are so vastly different from myself.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, a Tory. What about you? Would you date a Tory? And this is a hot topic.
This is a hot topic.
Are we giving context because Emma Jane doesn't really tell anyone about her job? Do you? We're not talking about that.
Let's just say I work in politics.
Sure, we'll say that.
Yeah.
Google
I
it.
have a different persuasion. I mean,
So you're not a Tory, just
definitely not a Tory.
Great.
But I don't even think I could date someone of another party.
Richie, I have to say though, your flat is quite nice though. Is your flat Tory?
Is my flat. We were drinking Tory Fanta earlier on.
We were.
We
We are, and we will continue.
Yeah. I mean, of course you could, but I don't know. I wouldn't.
Would you accidentally date one? You'd be like, oops.
No, I don't.
I vet people too carefully though.
Yeah.
I say that after having many, many terrible experiences. But
Have you ever dated a Tory? Have you had a bad experience?
I haven't dated.
Or have you dated somebody who you later found out was a bit of a Tory?
So I've dated someone who was... Now, just to quantify, I'm not saying that vegetarians are Tories. Let's preface this next part with that. But I'm not a vegetarian. I do eat vegetarian maybe like 3 times a week, I would say, like fully, basically because it's cheaper and it's better for the environment. And I drink oat milk, not because I'm Tory. But I did date a vegetarian, and it was a challenge in parts. I've also, I've previously talked about it on the podcast before, where I've dated someone of a different ethnicity and from a different culture, and so that then not for between us, but between the peripheral people in our lives, caused friction, which was unexpected. But that's just because people are coming from different cultures and kind of meeting in the middle, and sometimes it doesn't always work as well as you want it to, kind of thing. So that was an interesting experience. But no, I've never accidentally dated a Tory. Have you?
I don't believe I have.
I think you'd vet them too well. Would you not?
Yeah. I mean, I even go further. I probably wouldn't even vote. I probably wouldn't even date a no voter. Never mind a Tory. Unless, well, see, I'm challenged by the whole thing because.
What if they were lied to by the very government that's supposed to look after them, though? Like I was.
And here, this is the thing: is obviously I believe in global citizenship.
Yeah.
So I believe that, and ultimately, even with politics, you wanna, if you believe in something, you wanna help change people's views as well.
Yeah. Okay.
For the better, if you strongly believe it. So in some ways, I'm almost doing myself a disservice by saying I wouldn't, because.
Oh, okay.
It's healthy. Do you know what I mean? Like we need
to have debate. Yeah.
Yeah, but I fundamentally, I just feel like you would disagree, because either, in my view, if you're a Tory, you're either going to be voting with your money, or you're just an arsehole.
It's true. Look, I like foxes. I like gay rights. I like distribution of wealth. I like the NHS.
Yeah. Shall we hear what Mark Hexter has to say?
What does they say? What
Mark
does they say?
So he is a consultant clinical psychologist from the Summit Clinic, which is a psychology and psychotherapy treatment centre, and they obviously do a lot of work with different political ideologies and different views. And he says that our political views and affiliations are usually formed and influenced by the environment in which we are raised. So, I mean, how were you raised? How do you feel like your political views have been persuaded by how you were?
Yeah, I would say in some ways, like, so as we talked about in the podcast previously, like I grew up in a Church of Scotland household, which then became Pentecostal, like super Christian. For anyone that doesn't know, that's like a Katy Perry style,
Happy clappy.
Americanized church, I guess you'd refer to it as. And I had a mostly positive experience of that. But so that was on the one side, but then on the flip side of that, my dad and my stepmom were very much like musicians and like arty and that kind of stuff, and leaned in a kind of more, I guess, socialist viewpoint, I guess. My mum used to vote Conservative and now would not, but that's more from her family historically, I guess, because her family are English. So it's almost like I've been like a magpie, where I've kind of like taken the bits that I'm like, great, and then I'm like, that's trash, get away from me. So me and my mum often have opinionated discussions about the BBC and other media outlets. And I think because I've always had, even when I was in church, I was very much like critical of, I've always engaged with critical thinking, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I feel like regardless of how I've been raised, I've used that to inform myself. And then if I don't agree with it, I'm like, see you later.
Yeah.
And I've moved on from certain thinkings that don't align with me anymore. What about you?
There's probably an element of being queer as well.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, definitely.
That's going to... I wasn't even politically aware until the independence referendum.
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up in a political house like yourself. I did grow up in church, evangelical, and at the time I wasn't aware of how politicised things were, but it was around about the Section 28 time.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I now know that it wasn't. I don't think that politics and church should mix. But yeah, I think I didn't grow up with right-wing parents or anything like that, so I didn't. I've been, I don't feel like it's. I feel like I've grown up in a healthy, informative environment, and probably being queer and searching and it's probably helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Sidebar, right? I think this would surprise a lot of people, but one moment I will never forget is when we had the Christian political party visit our church and do a talk. And they did a talk, but it was very opinionated. And there was some of the, like a I don't know, 1/4 of the congregation were like, yeah, we're into this vocally. But then there was people in my age group and around that were audibly like, get out our church. Which I think would surprise a lot of people, and I think that's maybe why, I think because I came from a church that engaged with critical thinking.
Yeah, I think parties like that almost rely on, because obviously they can't get around everyone, so they almost rely on the words Christian party being on the ballot,
yeah,
and then hoping to resonate with any people of faith. I certainly know plenty of people who that's who they voted for purely because they're Christian. But yeah, so no, I feel like I became politically aware on my own when I was an adult. Mark actually goes on to say that it doesn't just inform what you discuss over the dinner table, it's how you feel about political issues can influence everything from, well, I don't know what that word is.
Minutia.
Oh, it sounds very Tory.
It does, doesn't it?
It does. Don't know what it means, but
it's like the little moments.
Yeah. Basically, he's saying that having different political views isn't just about what you discuss over the dinner table. These sort of things can influence how you choose to raise your children, how you spend your money, which is what we've just spoke about with Tories voting with their money. We feel, that I certainly feel, and yeah, the kind of people that you choose to be friends with. And that part actually really resonated with me, because after having a discussion with my friend group, we realised that there aren't any Tories in it, or people with even dodgy views.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice. It means we've not had to kick anyone out.
Have like in depth. Well, this is the thing though. Like, I think I'm similar. Like, my chosen family is definitely chosen carefully, and I think, but at the same point, we do have different views. But similarly to you, there's nobody that's like, for the most part, there's nobody that's like, I believe the NHS should be privatised or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, none of my friends are saying things that are absolute bonkers.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely know, I have acquaintances who are Tories or from other parties, and I would never have known before because we weren't politically engaged. And I wouldn't not be friends with them anymore because, like I say, you know, you kind of want to, it's important to hear different people's views. It's not healthy to just have, you know, this one section of society think in a certain way. Here's
the thing though, I don't mind if someone is a Tory or has a political standpoint as long as they're informed. If they come from into an argument having done research, having said, I voted this because of this, this and this, if they don't regurgitate Facebook posts at me, then I will listen to them. But if they are talking nonsense, I will disengage.
Yeah, bring your receipts or don't
show up at all.
Don't show up at all. Yeah. Interestingly, there are some examples of people who have these mixed political relationships. House who?
How salacious?
How salacious?
Is it people we know?
Definitely, I would. So you've got your Villanelle from Killing Eve,
iconic.
Jodie Comer, and she kind of came under fire a couple of years ago for dating a Trump supporter, which surprises me.
That does surprise me.
But then I've since found out that it has never been confirmed.
Do we look at what his face looks like? Let's check.
Yeah.
I'm gonna search his face.
I'm going to assume he's a bit of a ride because he
must be right.
Yeah, because she is.
I don't think it's this one, is it? It's like James Burke, a British historian who is like 86 years old. It's definitely not him, right?
Definitely not. You might need to write Jodie Comer.
Okay. Jodie. That should be the... Oh, he looks like a TikToker. Oh, he is kind of cute.
Nah. He definitely had a Tory face, though.
He looks
I could tell he was a Tory. She shouldn't have been...
He looks like he's
Are Tories Trump supporters?
No.
Not
Are
all.
they? Some might
Is
be.
that the equivalent? Is that the American equivalent?
That's the thing though, because like a conservative voter in the US is so vastly, in a lot of ways, different to
Yeah.
this. Do you know what I mean? So
It's influenced a lot by the church, I would say, over there.
So if you're an American listening to this, because we see you, the few of you that do listen at the moment, and you're so confused right now, this is just from a kind of Scottish British perspective. I think he is cute, and I think she could still do better. He's quite young looking.
Yeah, she's quite young though.
She's super hot.
Yeah,
Did you watch Killing Eve?
several times.
Oh my god, so good.
Several times.
Anyway, who else? Give us some more.
Kim K and Ye.
Sorry, that was a bad time to take a drink of water because it
Yeah.
almost went up my nose.
So she's obviously pro Planned Parenthood, and he's quite famously or infamously against abortion, and has since went off the rails. And I guess their relationship hasn't worked out. So,
But here's the thing though, like, do you think he... I can't tell what's a bit and not a bit with him. Like, is he playing a part? Is it like some artistic thing? Is he having a moment where he needs his therapist and a lie down and a fluffy
I think
pillow?
he's just a narcissist.
Yeah.
But there surely there has to. Well, I don't want to do mental health a disservice by
of course.
by branding him.
But I just remember when it first all came out, I just thought to myself, why would you so aggressively go against your own people and, you know, values, or what I would have thought would his values be? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Well, going from one, you know, maybe poor example of where it's not worked out, we have
A political example which I don't know about.
Yeah, so you remember the former Scottish Labour leader, Kezia Dugdale?
Absolutely, in no way do I remember them.
You don't remember Kezia
Let me
Dugdale?
check. Maybe I will as soon as I see their face. Hang on.
So Kezia was the Scottish Labour leader,
Her name is familiar, to be fair.
and she
Aw.
is now married to the SNP's Transport Secretary, Jenny Gilruth.
Cute.
So that's an example of where
Great
you know,
jackets.
you can.
Look at those jackets.
Yeah.
Great
really
coat.
good.
Love a tailored coat, girls. Sorry, that's patronising. Ladies. Women.
Women
Women who change the world.
women with different political views in love. So of course it can happen anyway.
Yeah.
But that's an example of where it can go right. And then with Labour, you've also got that the Labour MPs were at the Pride March, I think it was last year, and some of their MPs were spotted wearing the t-shirts saying "Never Kissed a Tory," which I've seen them loads. They're at all the Pride marches, and I think there's an element of tongue in cheek there.
Yeah.
But everyone likes to be salacious these days, so
Indeed.
it was a bit of an uproar, probably because the Tories aren't doing well in the polls. And I don't have the picture to hand, sorry, but
We'll post it on Instagram.
yeah, I had so with the Never Kissed the Tory, I actually had a badge from during the independence referendum that said "I only kiss boys who vote yes,"
Yay.
which still stands.
So boys, if you vote yes, then DM. Slide into the DMs.
Slap into them.
Slap into them?
No, slip into them. You'd slap me as well.
Slap into them hard and fast. And show us your political leanings. Well, that's cute.
Yeah.
So could you ever date a Tory?
I mean, maybe a soft Tory.
Okay.
Of course, you're going there.
I'm sorry, I can't help it.
I mean, ultimately, right, let's be real. You want to believe in love.
Sure.
And you want to believe that you can persuade Tories to not be Tories.
To be better people.
Yeah, and if it worked for Jenny and Kez, even although neither of them are Tories, but they're different political parties, then to be continued.
You're so lovely. Mine is a hard no.
Hard no.
I just can't. Like, I don't, like, see if someone's like, you know, I literally heard people say this online during the whole Trump thing, and it's so nice to not be waiting with bated breath for an American visa anymore and being able to just say whatever I want. During the whole Trump thing, I remember someone saying, you know, I voted for Trump because of this reason. So like some obscure thing that they had a slightly more right-wing opinion about, and so they voted on Trump because of that one thing. And that to me is like, that's insanity. Like it doesn't matter. Like, yeah. So it's like, at what cost? So it's like, date a Tory at what cost?
Yeah. I guess my openness to it is based purely on the fact that we're talking about a queer relationship here,
Sure.
and Tories don't have a great track record with gay rights, and so whilst I don't understand why there are queer Tories, it kind of gives me hope that they're maybe just not informed enough. So if
Sure.
I could inform them more, then perhaps.
But then you're in the cat and mouse of like trying to change someone potentially.
But I mean, I'm not going to work for. I'll not even set up a Tinder profile. I'm not going to work hard to date a Tory.
But then again, the whole sparring thing, I can see how that could be fun if you have slightly different political views and you have sparring matches.
Yeah.
So
and it just depends why they're a Tory, I guess.
Sure.
It could be for many reasons. Fundamentally, though, but people always say, "Oh, I'm not into politics," or I don't understand politics," but everyone's political. You just don't realise that it's everything that you base your decisions on.
I think I'd date a Tory only if they bought me a house.
That they're going to try to avoid paying extra tax on, probably. Let's put it in your name instead.
Sign me up, baby.
Yeah.
So that's what we've learned this season so far, is that I want a Tory to buy me a house, and I want someone to buy me a one-way ticket to the Dominican Republic of the Congo.
Oh, I remember. That above average.
Yep. The heart wants what the heart wants. Like, this is where we're at. But anyway, what about religious views, though? Interfaith relationships, Richie. What's your thoughts? So, we both kind of were talking about it off the pod, and we both kind of reflected on how it's quite typical, really, in Scotland specifically, for mixed religious relationships to be a thing. So, namely Protestant and Catholics, other faith systems too. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, so my mum's Catholic and my dad is Protestant.
Interesting.
But we were, until a later date obviously, but we were kind of, I went to non-denominational school. We weren't brought up either or. It was more a freedom of choice. Later on, my dad then became a Christian and I went to church and so on. But I feel like it's kind of normal here, but I don't think that it's the best example in terms of interfaith, because I don't believe that, certainly in Scotland, that people who say that they're Catholic are necessarily, practicing Catholics, in that they have a personal faith and they, they'll maybe do the mass thing once a month or however many times a year, go to people's christenings or whatever. But I don't think that that's the exact, because I'm a person of faith, I kind of separate faith and religion. So faith to me is something very personal. So I kind of feel like, of course, on the face of it, two people could have completely separate faiths because it's personal to you. But in reality, I don't think that works, because most people see faith, what we know as faith, as organised religion. And with that comes,
all the baggage, all the
and you tend to just stick within. You're not really going to...
It's interesting though, because that I agree so much so, but on the other side of that, on the flip side, I can think of so many examples of people who are Muslim or Hindu or Jewish as well, who are open to dating whoever, but sometimes settle in their own communities. But I get that, because that's almost like going back to what I was saying earlier about like the whole culture that surrounds it, almost is in some ways to some people more important than the actual faith aspect, which is fascinating. But yeah, I think that's one of the really positive things about Scotland though, is it is very much like something to be proud of, like our diversity and the fact that we're a bit more open to those kind of relationships. I think like people, the kind of interfaith relationships.
Have we just found a positive spin for sectarianism in Scotland?
I guess so. Trigger warning. Yeah. Okay. Well, here's the question, Richie, though, right? I love aeroplanes and the earth is flat. I also believe that people should not have abortions because fetuses deserve better. And I believe, now when this says zodiac, it doesn't mean the zodiac killer, does it?
No, just people who are into their star signs.
Yeah, I love star signs. They do it for me, baby. What's your thoughts on all those kind of things? Worldly
I have
views.
some thoughts on your view. Can we rewind a bit? What did you say about?
Oh,
abortions and-
oh no, I'm only joking. No, literally, women's bodies are their choice, and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay. So, what about if you were dating someone? I feel like I maybe should clarify that. I believe the Earth is a globe and round, and I believe in
I love that that's the bit I
pro-choice,
didn't pick up on. No,
and I believe also that star signs are questionable. But what's your thoughts on that kind of stuff? With those kind of like worldly views, like would you date someone who is obsessed with star signs or crystals?
oh
What if they've got a crystal collection?
no. I mean, my friends are all really into star signs,
Fun.
so kind of by default, by them being interested,
You have to hear it.
yeah, or I kind of engage on a like,
Superficial level?
yeah,
Okay.
like, but I'm not. I never ever read my star signs growing up. Partly because going to church and stuff, I was kind of
Yeah.
led to believe that it was obviously nonsense and stuff. But I am curious about it all, and I do, yeah, things like the moon and different bits. But I'm not invested in it whatsoever.
Well,
I
here's the
couldn't-
thing,
I
right?
couldn't be.
See, star signs, my only true integration point for that in my life is the Skinny magazine. Because remember they used to have the star signs?
Yeah,
They were so funny.
I won a hotel stay from the Skinny magazine.
What? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I love it. Skinny magazine, sponsor us, please.
What is your star sign?
Guess. It's so obvious.
It's obvious.
If you say Scorpio, I'm going to throw this iPad
What
at
has
you.
everyone got against Scorpios? Nobody likes Scorpios.
Are you a Scorpio?
No, I'm not a Scorpio, but
You're
like
going to be,
Scorpios.
I think you're either Tory, Taurus, or Aries?
Neither.
Leo?
No,
Don't be a Leo.
don't be a Leo.
My ex was a Leo and they're in the bin. What are you?
I'm Cancer.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm actually triple Cancer.
uh-oh.
Because now you've got like your sun,
The
your
triple threat.
moon, yeah. And I was kind of disappointed because like these friends, they're so into it. They're like, well, I'm Aquarius and I'm whatever moon, and I looked all mine up and it came up triple Cancer, and they were like, of course you're a triple Cancer, and I'm like, I kind of wanted to be something else.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm a
Cancer.
Gemini.
You're a Gemini.
Is that any surprise whatsoever?
Again, I don't really know anything about them all.
True.
All I know is that just means your birthday's just before mine.
It means that I'm a really good friend and loyal, but I will also cut a bitch.
Yeah.
Is basically the gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, I do like when I read about cancers and stuff, but you can make it work for anybody. We've all got
Exactly.
these personality traits.
I think of these things as I think of star signs and crystals as cute wee things, not that whole list as cute wee things, because some of those are non-negotiable.
Yeah,
For me, at least, I would say.
yeah, and
Could you imagine introducing your friends to a flat earther?
no, my friend actually
Uh-oh.
had brought out a documentary on flat earthers. You can
Because
watch it on no, he's not.
Okay.
No. But he said that it was really fascinating and some great people and stuff. I really enjoyed it. I'll
Yeah, send it over.
send it to you. But no, I mean, I don't get it. I thought we stopped believing in that, like, when white folk took over America.
Yeah. So those things are great, but what if they don't drink oat milk? Or they only eat crabs.
They only eat crabs.
Exclusively crabs. They're not even pescatarian. They're like, do you know what? I don't want anything else but crab. Or chicken nuggets. See these people that
I
just
love
like
chicken
be...
nuggets.
I know, but that's it.
Chicken nuggets are like family.
Nothing but chicken nuggets. Okay, let's go for dietary stuff. So veganism, vegetarianism, all this kind of stuff that's different from where we're at. Because Are you vegan or anything, or vegetarian?
No, I'm not vegan. I've got quite a lot of vegan friends, so I
Yeah.
try and like, not accommodate, but like I'll quite often eat from the vegan
Yeah.
menu, but also the offerings out there now are just so great that wherever we eat,
True.
we tend to have both. Anyway, but similarly, it's oat milk for my flat whites. It's
Love it.
a mushroom katsu curry instead of a chicken one.
Love it.
But yeah, I'm not militant, and I don't like militant vegans. I don't like militant anybody's.
Exactly.
But if you're doing it for the right reasons, if it's sustainability, if it's to cut out meat for a little bit, or if it's just that like some vegetables are just really good. Broccoli.
But wait, you've got a vegan friend. No, wait, your friend's husband is vegan, right?
Yeah, so my friend's husband is now vegan post marriage.
Oh.
So she didn't know what she was marrying into here. And
Oh my goodness, imagine you marry someone and they became a Tory.
that's a divorce just waiting to happen. That's annulment actually.
True.
Let's not even recognise this.
But anyway.
Yeah, so he's now vegan. So we were out for dinner last week, and I ordered from the vegan menu, and she was going all out for.
She's like, give me some sausage!
Yeah. Give me some fish tacos, and she was
Love a fish taco.
because she just has to make, she has to take these opportunities
Yeah.
because she doesn't get them at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm more
She's like checking herself into a hotel just so she can have chips and a steak.
I'm like, why are you asking me to go for dinner again?
I just really miss you. I just want to spend time with you.
But even like, so people who are like have got like gluten intolerances and stuff, like that affects you as well, because I love pizza.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, there aren't very many good gluten-free pizzas. And now the likes of Domino's and Papa John's, they now just use like frozen gluten-free bases that you can buy from the shop. And I'm like, I'm not paying 16 quid for you to just add on some toppings.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, I've dated vegetarians before. I've actually dated quite a few vegetarians, actually, now that I think about it. One of whom tried to be vegan for a little while as well. Not successfully.
Full on vegan, no leather, no.
Nah. Sounds alright. So, I wouldn't say never. But yeah, it's just the same way that if I eat chicken, I eat it very rarely because I try to have free range chicken.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna like religiously push that on someone. Like even tonight we had chicken burgers. They weren't free range.
No.
Not one hope that they were free
But
range.
even so, you bring it back to your swipe left
or no, yeah.
with cost of living. It must be really difficult if you have somebody who isn't vegan or has a specific way, and like it's already expensive out there now. What do you do?
Yeah.
The vegan can't really. They can't.
Well, surely it'd be cheaper though to be vegetarian at least.
Yeah, that's true.
Vegan, not too sure. Don't know how that works out. We'll do research to find out if it's cheaper to be vegan.
Yeah, there are plenty of vegan alternatives out there though, like even on like sweeties and stuff.
Famously, when I had a date night with a vegan recently, it was fun. We had a good time. A lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
Peeling a lot of vegetables.
Well, you say this, but most vegans that I'm friends with who have been vegans before there was even such great, availability out there, they all have the worst diets. They literally would all eat just
Processed?
chips or pizza or pasta.
Yeah.
They're not really that big into vegetables. I don't think vegan necessarily. I think people tend to be vegans because animals and vegetarians maybe the same, but yeah.
But we're both not vegan or vegetarian, so what do we know? But
What do we know?
we want to know your thoughts on this week's theme. Would you date a Tory? Have you already dated a Tory? Are you a Tory? Surely you're not a Tory if you're listening to this podcast. But anyway, don't forget to vote on this week's social polls on our Twitter and Instagram at Don't Date Me Pod. So as we say in the exact same way every single week without deviation,
Stay vigilant of conspiracy theorists
don't be a turf.
and don't date me.
See you next week. Hey, thank you for listening. The Don't Date Me podcast is created by Jamie Sparks Productions. If you enjoyed it, follow our show and rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. You can rate us each time you listen to an episode. Pure it, as it helps people find our show. Keep in touch by dropping us an email at don'tdatemepod@itsjamiesparks.com and follow us on Twitter or Instagram at don'tdatemepod. If you love what we're doing, please consider donating to UNICEF to aid the people of Ukraine. Recently, our listeners raised £410 after gift matching. You can find the link in the show notes. See you on the next episode.
Hi, Sid.
Oh, hey, Sid.